that don't know Kyle, can you just tell them a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, so I run Whissel Realty here in San Diego. We've been ranked the #1 team in the county 2 years in a row. And when the numbers come out in June, we should be #1 again for the 3rd consecutive year. And our goal right now is climbing up the state of California list. So last year we were #6 in the state. And our goal is to make it up to #1. This year we're on track to do about 500 transactions, $250 million in volume, and over 6 million in GCI.
Wow, dude, is that awesome? Yes.
I started in the business when I was 19, going to school right across the freeway here at UCSD.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I started out, I worked with my dad on the commercial side of things. We did a lot of shopping centers, apartment buildings, stuff like that. All my investors that were buying apartment buildings were buying them, converting them over to condos. The prices ran up like crazy on apartment buildings, and eventually the city came in and shut down the condo conversions, and it didn't make sense for investors to buy apartments anymore if they couldn't convert them to condos. So all my investors started looking around and saying, hey, what about this bank-owned property? What about this short sale property? And I started looking around, and I saw there were people out there. You know, Christian Peters at one point had like 500 REO listings. Kurt Wanabo had like 200 or 300 short sale listings. And so that was where I branched out from commercial over to residential. When I was in my early 20s, commercial was cool, but you get a $100,000 check in your early 20s, and it doesn't go to good places. Vegas, it goes to very bad places and very bad people. A lot of it went to Vegas. So I decided that it would be a lot more fun to make more consistent money. And I remember there was a day that I got a postcard from Greg Newman, who works in downtown San Diego, and it said that we sell a house a day. And I saw that, and I was like, that's bullshit. That's not even possible. And here we are. Last year we did 386, and this year again we're going to hopefully do 500.
Right on, brother. Love it. Excellent. So,
coaching pretty much the entire time.
Really?
I think since the first day I started, I've always had an assistant. A big motto that's always stuck with me: if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. So drop whatever bullshit you have in your head about why you don't have an assistant, that you can't afford one. The sooner you hire an assistant, the more money you'll make. The more expenses you have, the more you'll make. One of my agents just got a new car yesterday. I'm stoked because that means more expenses. And when you have more expenses, you work your ass off and you make more money. So get an assistant and you'll be shocked at how great of an accountability partner they are, because you're gonna have to work harder. You gotta feed them. You gotta gotta pay that check so they can put food on the table. And they're gonna not just sit there and do Sudoku puzzles all day. They're gonna ask you, what do you need me to do? 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 And it's gonna force you to come up with things to give them. And ideally, you start giving off all those low dollar producing activities, and you just do the high dollar producing activities.
Awesome, I love it. So where does your business come from? Where does most of the business come from?
So our top 5 lead sources is Sphere, referral, past clients, open house, Zillow, and Realtor.
Okay, awesome. So I want to talk about the open houses, because you and I got the chance to do that killer, real success interview, which I'm super grateful for. And we got such great feedback on that. Have you seen the traction?
Yeah, it's like 10,000 plus views.
Yeah, and you're #1, and not that it matters, #1 on the view ratio.
There we
so
go.
To like, so you know you like the numbers.
Jeff Thibodeau owes me some drinks for that.
He does. So I want to talk to them about the mega open house. I didn't have a conversation with them yesterday, knowing that you were going to come, and I figured who better to talk to them about the mega open house strategy than the Godfather himself. So can you share with them a little bit about, or just share with them the strategy and why you do it and how it works?
Yeah, so I'll share kind of my story of how the idea came about. About 3.5 years, almost 4 years ago, it was time for my wife and I to move. We got married. It was time for us to buy a house, just kind of following the whole script. And we were looking around at areas, and I was very strategic about where I moved. So I know that Bill just talked about, farming and the things you look for, turnover rate and dominant agent and all that stuff. And I found an area that I loved, that there was literally nobody had sold more than one house in the entire neighborhood ever in its history. It was a newer community, but nobody had ever sold more than a single house. And so we picked that neighborhood. I just saw there was a huge opportunity, and it's high price point at the time. It was like 500 to $1 million. Now there's stuff selling, 1, 2, 1, 3 in that neighborhood. So I saw an opportunity to move into that neighborhood, and I moved in. And initially, a lot of my neighbors knew, my immediate neighbors knew that I was in real estate, and they were like, "Why aren't you selling any of the homes on the market?" I was like, "Just relax. I'm just getting the lay of the land. I'm seeing how things flow, seeing who the power players are, and everything like that." And I started doing the farming, doing the mailers, doing things like right now there's a great opportunity to do a spring cleaning event. It's spring, it just started. You'd be looking for cheap ways to do farming, drop bags off at everybody's door and just say, hey, it's spring, time to clean out the closets, we're gonna donate food to whatever shelter, homeless shelter, something like that. It's a really easy way to do some farming. So we were doing a lot of stuff like that. And we finally got our first open house, or we got our first listing in the neighborhood. And when you get that first listing in a farm, you really want to blow it up. You want to go big with it and just go all in. Like, that is your opportunity. Like, when somebody's auditioning for a movie in Hollywood, like, when you get that opportunity to get in front of that casting director or whatever it is, you better get out there and give it 110%. Like, that's your opportunity to shine. And I saw that as my opportunity when I got that first listing. And like most of you guys, I had watched a lot of the $1 Million Listing stuff, and they were throwing parties at every single listing. And I was like, that looks cool, even though that's all fake shit, that's not real. But it looked cool, and I was like, well, I'm gonna follow these guys' lead. And so I set up my first open house there, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring wine and cheese in. Let's see how this goes. And I did my first one, and I had about 20 people show up to it, which was not bad. I was pretty happy with the attendance. We did it like on a Friday night, 5 to 7. And it was from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock rolls around, there's still like 15 people in the house. 7:30 rolls around, there's still like 12 people in the house. It's like 8 o'clock now, I'm like, are these guys ever gonna go home? I was like, guys, the owners are coming back, we gotta go. And somebody's like, hey, after party at our house. And I was like, holy crap, I'm onto something. Like, my open house just had an after party. Like, this is bad. Like, whose open houses have after parties? So I was like, this is really, really cool. And it was all neighbors. And a lot of times we do open houses and we're like, oh, it sucked. All I got was neighbors coming in. Like, that's all I want to come in. Neighbors own houses. I look at neighbors as sellers. So the more neighbors that come through, the better. So we literally throw parties just for the neighbors that come through. So we've been doing those consistently every single listing that we get now in the neighborhood. Like Bill mentioned, I've got about 75% of the listings in my neighborhood. The majority of the ones I don't get are because the owners are agents themselves and they list their own home with iPhone photos. There's literally 3 in my neighborhood right now. One has no sign, one has a post but no sign and no flyers in the box, and one has a handwritten little rider on it. They literally took a marker and wrote the address on it. And these are over $1 million listings. It's crazy. I know, that's what I'm waiting for. But yeah, we've got 75% market share, and I actually ran the numbers recently, and I've made enough money just from this farm to pay for my entire house, which is pretty freaking awesome.
Wow.
And it's not a cheap house.
So take us through, because I look at doing the mega open house has a couple components. We talked about this, the marketing that goes on before, what happens at it, and then what the follow-up is afterwards. Can you talk us
so
through?
I'll walk you through the entire thing.
Yeah.
So the big thing, I've seen people post in groups, like, if I only have $500 to spend, or I only have $1,000 to spend, what should I spend it on? It should all go into open house signs. Like, that should be your #1 investment, because the cool thing about that is Zillow, hey, we make a lot of money from Zillow and Geographic Farm and all these guys. We can all make a ton of money from these, but that's a one-time investment. You spend $1,000 on open house signs, you're gonna get to use those signs over and over and over and over again. That's really a tool that you're putting into your toolbox. So that's the first thing you invest your money in. When we're doing these, it's not just about showing up on Friday night or Saturday, putting out a few signs and hoping people show up. Everything starts well in advance of it. So we've got 2 properties that are going active next week, and we're doing, we've now changed the initial one to be called a property premiere. I don't know if Sergio's here today, I think he was here the other day, but we stole that term from Sergio. But that's what you do in this organization, we all steal. So you guys are all gonna steal everything that I tell you today, which is cool, it's fine. So we call it a property premiere, so we're doing 2 of them next week. My team today is getting all of the invitations put together for those events. So we're actually physically printing out invitations. Almost, they look like a wedding invitation. I don't know about you, but I've never received anything like that for an open house. And odds are, nobody in that neighborhood has received anything like that. So there's a big thing that you've got to disrupt the market. You've got to do something that nobody else is doing. A nice, quality invitation in the mail to an open house, that's gonna grab people's attention because they've never seen anything like that before. So we typically get those out either the Friday before or the Monday of the open house. Tuesday, we start running social media ads. So we're running stuff on Insta, on Facebook. If you don't have money and you can't do boosted posts, go into your area and find all the groups, the classified groups, the yard sale groups, the buy-sell groups. Those are all free. Go in, find all the groups in your area, read the rules because a lot of them won't allow business posts or they'll only allow business posts on certain days, so find whatever the rules are in your neighborhood. But those are a great way to get the word out there about your open house. We run boosted posts, and if you go in the back end of Facebook, you can put a pin on the map and just draw a 1 mile radius around it, so you're really just inviting people within that specific neighborhood. So that happens on Tuesday. We typically launch our properties on a Wednesday, so that's when they go live on the MLS. So we're already doing a lot of promotion before the property ever hits the MLS. We have our own radio show called Whissel Wednesdays here in San Diego, so we start promoting on the radio show on Wednesdays. Thursdays, we get out and we start door knocking the neighborhood, so we're dropping flyers at the doors. It's up to you how deep you want to go with it. I'm a warm knocker. I look at 2 different types of knocking, warm knocking and hot knocking. One, you're actually physically knocking on every single door, shaking hands, introducing yourself. Or warm knocking, you're basically just talking to anybody who's out and about. So anybody who's out walking the dog, playing with the kids in the yard, has the garage open, running the lawnmower or whatever. Since I only do 1 day, I don't have enough time to actually physically knock every door.
Do you still do that?
I do. I love it. It's exercise.
That is awesome. I freaking love it, man. Yes.
And the best thing you can do with door knocking, do it with somebody else. So when we do it, I go down one side of the street, they go down the other side, you feed off of each other. There's energy in that, and that's super, super powerful. So that's on Thursday, and if you have time, do that on Wednesday as well. Fridays. So Friday is the day of the actual event. We go into Cole, C-O-L-E, Cole Realty Resource. I think it's like $1,500, $2,000 for an entire year. And it's, with that system, it just like, I don't remember what I was talking about with the pin on the map, but basically you put a pin on a map, draws a circle around it, pulls everybody in, all their names, phone numbers, email addresses, pulls all of that information in. We're very, very system-based, if you guys can't tell. So we use another system called Agent Legend. Agent Legend is super, super powerful. I can take all of that and put it into Agent Legend, and I can have a phone call, an email, and a text message go out to that entire list, just like that, which is really, really powerful. And some of my ISAs are here in the room, and they'll also make phone calls to that list as well. So if you think about it, before the events ever happen, they've got something in the mail, they've seen us on Facebook and Instagram, they've heard us on the radio, they've seen it pop up on all the big sites, Zillow and Truly and all of that stuff. They've gotten something at the door, they've gotten a call, they've gotten a text, they've gotten an email. You are literally everywhere. You're a freaking cockroach. Like, they cannot get rid of you at this point. But when somebody's thinking about making a move, they want the person who's everywhere, because when you can give them that vision, they're just like, this guy's absolutely amazing. And that's what happens on a lot of my listing appointments. There is no pitch. They're like, you don't need to sell us on that. We've seen all your stuff. And you can do that in a week, which is so, so powerful. So we do the event that night. We typically have 3 people at the event. One person is strictly working the door. They're there with the iPad. We used to use Open Home Pro. We switched over to a new company called Spacio, SPAC.io.
I love them.
If you go to openhouse.kylewhissel.com, they're doing a promo of like 30% off if you sign up. So I told them I was talking today and they wanted to give you guys a promo. So
Awesome.
openhouse.
Where do they go to?
Openhouse.kylewhissel.com. And the reason we switched from Open Home Pro to using Spacio is that the second somebody signs in on that iPad, it's auto-importing that lead into Boomtown.
Nice.
Which is so, so powerful. I'm literally in the backyard showing the pool to somebody and my watch goes off. You got a new lead, you got a new lead, you got a new lead. It's instantaneous. And what's cool when they go into there is you can also integrate with like Cloud CMA and a lot of other systems, and you can have an email automatically go to them with all of the information on that property the second they sign into your open house. Like, people go to a lot of open houses, but when you can do something different than everybody else, it's gonna make you stand out and people are gonna remember you. So one person's at the door, and then we typically have 2 of us working the event. One person's usually a buyer's agent, the other person's usually me. And the person at the door, their job is to ask everybody who comes up to the door, do you live in the neighborhood? If yes, go talk to Kyle. If no, go talk to the other person. Because I want all the neighbors, and I want my team to have all the buyers. So we go through the entire open house. We have a good time, wine and cheese. One we're doing in a hipster neighborhood next week. So we're doing like craft beer and like one of the local vegan pizza joints. So know your market.
Yeah,
it's important.
I'll be missing that one.
Yeah, it's important to know your market. So if you're, just know your market, bottom line. If If you're doing a $300,000, 300 is a very low price here. If you're doing a $300,000 house, wine and cheese might not correlate. Maybe pizza and beer is a better choice. Beer and wings, something like that. So know your market, tie into it. We're doing one where we're going to do sushi and sake. So think outside the box, think of some cool stuff. Some of you guys in here do multi-million-dollar properties. You know, you could spend some money, bring a sushi chef in, that would be rad. So then when the open house is done, usually me and the entire team, whoever is there, we'll sit there, grab the phone, and shoot a video right there on the spot. Hey, thanks so much for coming by the open house. It was awesome to meet you. If you know somebody who might be interested in buying the home or finding out what your home might be worth, we'd love to meet with you. Give us a call, shoot us a text. Here's the phone number. And then the beautiful thing with Spacio is I can send that email out to everybody right there on the spot. What I found, the sooner you send that stuff out, the more likely you're going to be to get a response.
So that goes out the day
before we leave the house.
Right on.
Before we leave.
Right.
Yeah, because if you wait till the next day, you're going to forget about it. Or you're going to be like every other agent, because everybody waits till the next day, or they wait till Monday, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Right on. Good. Hey guys, awesome? Yes?
Yes.
Biggest mistake that they can make in doing the open houses that they need to avoid.
Biggest mistake, doing it by yourself. That's the biggest mistake. If you don't get every single person who shows up to sign in, there's no point in doing it. We've got, usually our ISAs work the front door because they're great. Vanessa, are you here? Vanessa's still here? She's amazing. She's a little ball of fire, but she's the sweetest girl in the world, and nobody can turn her down. It's amazing. She just stands there. She's so happy. Every single person signs in. When you walk away from an open house and you have 20, 30, 40, 100 people who all registered, think about how much are you guys paying to Zillow for a lead? I mean, there's parts of San Diego where it's $300 a lead. You've got 100 people to sign in. That's like $30,000 worth of leads. That's insane that you can get that from a single open house. And what did it cost you? Some invitations, a social media ad? I mean, it hardly cost you anything.
And they could zero cost it, or close to zero cost, by cooperating with their lender, right?
Yes, very much so. Lenders would love to partner with you on these and help co-host. And we've used lenders as bartenders at a lot of ours.
That's a good thing. I know a lot of lenders that would love being bartenders.
Yes, very much so.
So brother, there's a lot of people that are, first of all, we got a lot of our great, I mean, you can see a lot of the great coaching clients that are out here right now. And I mean, the fact that you're still grinding it and that you're still door knocking is inspiring to me. There's a lot of individuals that are new to the ecosystem. How important has your coach been through this entire process for you, man?
It's good. She's in the back of the room, and she will slap the shit out of us when we need it. And sometimes you need that. A lot of us are scared of that. You don't want somebody to come down on you and tell you you're doing it wrong or tell you you're being a bitch, but I want that because that's the only way I can get better. I've always had the theory, if I don't know I'm doing something wrong, then I can't fix it. So I want somebody to tell me when I'm doing it wrong. I want somebody to tell me when I'm being a bitch and to push harder and push through it. I need that, and that's really important. And again, when you pay money, just like when you have an assistant, you're paying them money, they're the ultimate accountability partner. When you're paying money to your coach, you better believe you're gonna be on those phone calls, because you miss it, you're not getting a makeup call. So you're 100% committed on those phone calls, because depending on what level, I mean, a few hundred up to a few $1,000 for coaching. So you better believe when you're on that call, you're 100% focused and committed on that call, and you wanna squeeze every ounce out of it that you can.
By the way, that's his coach.
That is my coach, by the way.
Everyone say hi, Yvonne. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hi, Yvonne. That's our no BS coach there in the back.
There's no sugarcoating.
Dude, I had Becky Barrick on a panel up in Seattle, and she had just had a call with Yvonne. I'm like, how's coaching going? She's like, I want to slap Yvonne right now. And Yvonne's like, yes.
Yeah.
One bit of advice that you could give them. Like, they're sitting down, you guys are having a beer, you're hanging out, listening to some good music, and they say, Kyle, what do I need to do to massively succeed?
So there's a 3-part system that I think is most important in this business. And number 1, it's about having all the right systems. So you need to have everything in place. I mean, literally when I talked about our open houses, I probably dropped 10 different systems that we're using. You need to have all of the right systems in place. So you can either be independent, you can go pay tons and tons of money for all that, or we literally sat down the other day and did an exercise of how much, if somebody were to pay for all the systems we provide, cost them over $100,000 a year for the systems that we put in place. So systems is really, really important. Your schedule is really, really important. So don't just wing it and be like, oh yeah, I feel like doing an open house this weekend, I don't have any showings. Like, no, make that every single week, week in, week out, you're doing open houses. Like, that's just what you do every Saturday or every Friday or whatever. Ideally, you're doing it 2 days a week. Cindy over here did like 7 in a week, I think, for our team.
Wow.
So make it part of your routine. Don't just wing it and do one when you feel like it. It's all about having a schedule and sticking to it. You know, a big part of that is making your phone calls first thing in the morning. Another thing that's always stuck with me is the phone gets heavier as the day goes on. So if you're trying to wait till 4 or 5 o'clock to make your calls, it's not gonna happen. I was supposed to go running yesterday, and I told my buddy, yeah, 8 o'clock, you know, tomorrow night, we'll go running. Shit didn't happen. No, I was exhausted by the time 8 o'clock came around. It was not happening. I did get up this morning to go running, and it's a lot easier. If you wake up in the morning, you just go run, you knock it out, no distractions, nothing gets in the way. It's the same way with your phone calls. So really having that schedule down is really, really important. And then third is your skills. So in our office at Whissel Realty, we're really, really big on role playing. So we role play on the phones 5 days a week, twice a day. We have a 8:30 call and a 10:30 call. We do buyers Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do sellers Tuesday, Thursday. So our agents are on the phone ideally 5 days a week, just perfecting their phone skills.
Beautiful.
In addition, we do live role play every Wednesday as well. So we do an hour of listing presentation role play and an hour of buyer consultation role play. Because no matter how good you are on the phone, if you show up to that listing appointment and you shit the bed, then all that money you spend for the leads and all that time you spend following up with them and all these systems and everything you pay for, and then you show up and you don't know what to say, you're screwed. It's all for naught. So we're really big on practicing not only the phone scripts, but also the presentation scripts as well.
Brilliant, man. Good. Guys, okay? Hey, let's open up for, I got 2 questions, all right? You choose.
That's the only one I can see.
Yeah?
Yes.
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, so the question was, can you do a mega open house on somebody else's listing? If you don't have your own listings, you don't have a choice, you have to. So find somebody who will let you do it. What I found the best people that are willing to let you do opens on their listings are flippers. Because they're lazy, they're not trying to do that stuff. So flippers are your best bet for letting you do a wine and cheese open house or beer and wings, whatever it is. And nobody lives there, so you're not inconveniencing anybody. Sometimes sellers are a little bit leery about having people in their house, especially if they didn't know you. They'd probably be a little leery of letting you serve alcohol in their house. But if it's a flip, they don't care. It's not even their furniture. They're not worried about it. So you could do it, and that would be where I would start.
Awesome. Great. Sophie.
Yes. Hey. The crack house? Okay. Yeah. So we had a crack house listing in Pacific Beach. There were they said there were 30 homeless people, but they were living in a home, so they weren't homeless, so I think they did them dirty. But doing Facebook Live videos can work, but most of you guys suck. I'm telling you straight up, your Facebook videos freaking suck. Don't walk through like, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, it's 1,200 square. Shut the fuck up. That's lame. I don't even want to hear that, and I'm a realtor. Like, your clients don't want to hear that. Like, that video that I did, if you guys go on my Facebook page, it's on there, I think it's public, it's from like a week ago. It's got like almost 5,000 organic views, because it was real. Like, there was a hole punched in the wall. I was like, oh, this is custom built-in. So it was like, there's a little trap door. This is where you hide the drugs when the cops come. Like, be authentic, and you can get engagement. We're huge on video. If you do video and you just do it like a robot, nobody wants to see that. So you've got to show your personality. That's the whole benefit of video, is that you could show personality, but it could be a negative if you don't show personality. If you're just like a robot, seriously, like, hire somebody to do your videos for you, because you'll do more harm than good when you just go on there as a robot every day.
Awesome. Great question. Yes, in the back.
I'm wondering if you could tell us again how early you send your invitations for the mega house that go out in the mail.
So we typically do them on our open houses either Thursday or Friday nights. We typically do it into where it ends at sunset, so now we can go till 7 o'clock. I found when you go past dark, the attendance drops off as soon as the sun sets. So we usually try to end it right around sunset. So right now we're doing 5 to 7. And they're usually either on a Thursday or Friday night. So I want to make sure that invitation is there at least 1 to 2 days prior. So like we're doing one on a Thursday, I want to get that invite out on this Friday, so that it should be there by like Tuesday. So you want to make sure it's there at least a day or two in advance, but I don't want it to get there a week in advance. They're going to forget about it. So the target is get it there within 1 to 2 days of the actual event. But the key is not just sending the invite, but then it's door dropping it, social media ad, call, text, email, it's all of that combined. So you literally just hit them from every direction.
Brilliant. One last question. You've had your hand up.
In a hot market like what we have right now, how often the home sells before you have your first
Great
open
question.
house?
We don't allow showings until the open house. So in San Diego, the stats only go back 13 years. We're at a 13-year low in inventory. It's probably more than 13 years. Our attendance at our open houses is through the roof lately because there's nothing for sale. And when there is something for sale, it's like flies on poop right now. They're all over it. And a lot of times they want to work with the listing agent. I have one closing tomorrow that's 1.3 million from an open house. They came by the property premiere and literally wrote an offer on the spot. 1.3 double-ended. Like, think about how much money that is. It's insane. You know, for an event that I maybe spent $500, $1,000 to throw, that's well worth it. So the big thing is when we launch on either Wednesday, sometimes we'll launch the property on a Thursday, we hold back showings until the open house. The reason is, one, I don't want to inconvenience the sellers, especially those first couple days where there's like 10 showings and one at 8 o'clock, one at 10 o'clock, one at 12 o'clock. That's a nightmare for your seller. So push all those initial showings back to the open house. Your seller will appreciate it, and there's going to be a lot of hysteria at the open house because there's 100 people there, and people are like, man, this is a hot property, we better jump on it. So it can really help you out if you do that.
Awesome. Guys, can we give Kyle a thunderous round of